Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Ladies and gentlemen, the controversy begins. We are going there today. Yeah, I said it. I kind of touched on this earlier, talking about Crawford and Boots' resumes. But you know what? We've been dragging Jaron Ennis through the mud for his resume. Every social media platform where I look, people have something to say about Jaron Ennis. He hasn't fought nobody. He's not tested, saying he's all hype and the highlight reels. Now, I'm not here to say that I disagree. I'm not here to say that I agree. I'm just here to say, hey, yo, hold your horses. Let's not take it to the stupid. And let me flip this for a second. When were we doing the same thing to Boots? Why didn't anyone keep that same energy with Terence Crawford? Because if we're being real, and I mean real, Crawford's rise wasn't built on killers either. It was built on timing, marketing, and perfect matchmaking. If you ask Angel Garcia, he'll tell you that's been going on for Crawford since the amateurs. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm just sitting here telling you what Angel Garcia said. Take it easy, Bob Molly. I didn't shoot the sheriff, so don't shoot me. I'm just bringing you the information. And before the Bud Army attacks me in the comments, easy, relax. We're not saying the man can't fight. He's one of the most skilled boxers we've ever seen. But this video is about how boxing fans pick and choose who they call unproven. Bit of a double standard here, that's all I'm saying. Every time Boots fights, people say the same thing. And I'm guilty, I'm frustrated with Jaron, just like many other people, you know what I'm saying? But some of the things people say, he hasn't fought anyone, he needs a name, he's got to fight a real dog, he got to stop getting out the shower to take a piss. They say all this crazy stuff, Okay, fair. But hold your horses. Go back and look at Crawford's run before he fought Earl Spence. At 135, we all know his best win was Gamboa, a 5'5" featherweight who had been inactive. At 140, it was Victor Postal and Ndongo. Good fighters, good fighters. You can't fault Crawford, you know what I'm saying? He had to fight who was there, who were the champions, so those were good fighters, but not legends. Then at 147, he fought Jeff Horn, Amir Khan, Kavaliauskas, who was a killer, Kell Brook, Sean Porter, and David Avanesian. Now, if Boots Ennis had the exact same resume, y'all would roast him. You'd be saying, Boots fought a Washbrook, a Chinny Khan, a domestic level Horn, and a guy named Mean Machine. But because it's Crawford, suddenly it's all-time greatness. Come on now, let's be fair. Because we're watching history repeat itself, same pattern, different name. Now I'm going to keep stirring this pot because this right here is fun. People love to say, but Crawford beat Earl Spence. He dominated him. He made history. You don't know what you're talking about, Hood Champion. And the word that I keep hearing these people use. At first, let me just say this, right? Let me break character for a moment. Make sure y'all like and subscribe and become a member to the channel and leave that donation for the fried rice and chicken wings. But one thing I want to say. Stop using the word goofy. Why in the world would any grown man or woman use the word goofy in their day-to-day conversation and make it part of the vocabulary? You sound fucking stupid. Now back to our regular scheduled programming. Now when it comes to Earl Spence, Crawford beat him. But you know, context matters. That wasn't the 2019 Spence that crushed Mikey Garcia, battered Sean Porter. That was a Spence coming off a car crash, eye surgery, years of inactivity. That was a Spence who had made it publicly that his reflexes weren't the same, his body wasn't the same. So was it really a 50-50 fight? Or was it Crawford versus the remains of Earl Spence? Old man Spence, was that his spirit in the ring? Or was Spence physically there? Let's be real, even Crawford knew that. That's why he took the fight when he did. He knew Earl Spence was a shell of himself. Sleepy, hollow Spence Jr. And that's what great fighters do. They strike when the opportunity is ripe. You don't see that banana on the counter that's getting black spots and throw it away. No, you grab it and you start to yam. Because it's nice and ripe. But that ain't the same banana when it first gets nice and vibrant and yellow. But don't act like he beat the prime Spence that fans begged for back in 2018. If that fight had happened then, 5 years earlier, we might be telling a different story today. I mean, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Now, as far as this stuff with Madrimov and 154, look, what are we doing here? A talented, proven, powerful, but relatively, in most people's eyes, you know. Listen, I'm going to just call it for what it is, man. Madrimov was relatively an inexperienced fighter at the elite level, all right? People hyped that fight up like Crawford just outboxed the seasoned monster. Like he was the Saison con achiote, he was the adobo, he was the garlic powder, onion powder. He was the cumin Chinese five spice. No, he wasn't. But Madrimov had less than 12 pro fights. Was he a 154-pound Lomachenko? Hey, yo, hold your horses and stop taking it to the stupid. You telling me Crawford gets a pound-for-pound boost for that? Easy, Mick Nicholas. Come on, that's like Jaron Ennis fighting Ab-Ass Baru. And fans acting like he just beat Canelo. We got to stop pretending everything Crawford touches is legendary just because he's Crawford. You can respect his greatness while still calling out the obvious. He's been matched carefully, brilliantly, but carefully. Now, this thing about Canelo. I'm going to keep stirring the pot and making y'all uncomfortable, because that's what I do on this channel. Now, I know what the Bud fans are going to say next. Hey, Hood Champion, you said Crawford did such a great job against Canelo. Yeah, I know. I'm stirring the pot. Just enjoy the video. Now, I know what the Bud fans are going to say. Okay, but he beat Canelo Alvarez. He went up in weight and made history. Yeah, and you know, retired military guy. I have to give him a big salute for that. That's a massive achievement. But let's peel it back. Canelo was already past his physical peak. His last 5 fights showed that his knees were worn, explosiveness dull, and he had just gone through years of hard grinding fights. Plant, Bivol, Golovkin, 3 times, Charlo, that's miles of wear, man. So when Crawford fought him, it wasn't the 2018 Canelo that walked down Triple G and destroyed Kovalev. It was a slower, older, more cautious Canelo. A man fighting to preserve his legacy, not extended. His mind knew what it wanted to do, but the body just couldn't respond. So Crawford had the stars lined up, and that's why he put the Omaha, Nebraska bing-bings on Canelo. See, you don't want to hear that. A hood champion, please stop stirring the pot, sir. Please, sir, don't stir the pot. No, go ahead and cry. Because I got to be real again. Crawford looked great. He looked great. I'm fair, but I'm firm. But that version of Canelito, Viva Mexico Cabrones, made him look great. Just like Spence's version made him look great. Timing is everything. Crawford didn't just fight these guys, he fought them at the perfect time. So when people say Crawford is an all-time great, he's the Michael Jordan of boxing right now. Yeah. I say, okay, I hear you, but based on what, McNicholas? Is it dominance? Yeah, he's dominant. I'll give you that. But dominance alone doesn't make you great. Because right now, Jaron Ennis is doing the exact same thing. He's dominating his opponent so badly that people are calling them bums. Isn't that what we said about Crawford's early run too? The truth is, fans only recognize greatness after the fact. And maybe old hood champion's been getting it wrong. I'm human. Maybe I got to drop a don't take it to the stupid to me. Shit, they hated Mayweather for years. They still hate Mayweather. They started calling him genius after he retired. But those who hate him, they still hate him. But there are a few, actually a lot, they say that dude was a genius because they're looking at the vacuum that was created once Mayweather retired from the sport of boxing. There ain't no more Mayweathers running around here. But a lot of people, they still feel, hey, man, you know, Mayweather was the guy who cherry-picked opponents, but there are a lot who felt that way, changed their mind. Said, yo, I got to get that dude credit. He was brilliant. They said Canelo cherry-picked. But then, you know, he's the face of boxing is what they said, you know what I'm saying? Then they said Crawford had no resume all the way up until he fought Spence. Now they say Ennis has no resume until he beat somebody big. And I've been saying it too, you know, but I'm stirring the pot right now. So the pattern never changes, you know what I'm saying? It's just got to be real. I'm just going off of what I'm reading and listening to people, man. You know, it's not about skill. It's about timing and perception. It's like fans will only love you when you lose, you know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, you know what? You ever notice something about some of these boxing fans, and not all, because most of us, you know, we have a good head on our shoulders, but I'm talking about the McNicholases. They don't truly appreciate you until you take a loss. And then even if you take a loss, they still will throw you under the bus and kick you in the backside. But when you're undefeated, they say you're protected. When you finally lose, suddenly they say, man, he was special. That's why this whole debate between Ennis and Crawford is so emotional, you know what I'm saying? Because fans are tired of seeing the same script. One guy gets praised, the other guy gets criticized for doing the exact same thing. Both Ennis is dominating people just like Crawford used to. He's young, he's dangerous, he's unknown. Eddie Hearn is trying his best to snowball his momentum and profile to get the whole world on a global scale to know who Jaron Boots Ennis is. But I'm going to tell you something. The difference, Crawford had ESPN in Top Rank promoting him like a myth. Boots, for some reason, that 10-year career, he's had to fight algorithms, not just opponents. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to keep it 100%. How the young boys say, no blue hat, no blue hat. Crawford doesn't get called out because fighters know he's dangerous. But it doesn't mean he's unbeatable. It just means the timing and power dynamic in boxing makes him untouchable right now. Boots Ennis is in the same lane. Too risky. Not profitable enough yet. But if Boots ever gets that Crawford fight, fans better keep the same energy, because if he pulls it off, if he beats Crawford, suddenly they'll say Crawford was old, Crawford had too many wars, Boots had youth. It's the same cycle again. But I heard Murtazali have said, hey, Boots, you call me out, I'll fight you. Let's see if Boots takes that fight. But if he beats Murtazali, yo, I think this whole conversation and fun videos that I do in this stirring the pot will come to an end. Because Murtazali is the truth. But there'll still be people out here saying Murtazali was a nobody. All he fought was Tim Tszyu. They won't give Boots no credit for beating a guy like Murtazali. Anyway, I do think sometimes some of the Crawford critics, I think they have a point, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to hate Crawford to admit that there's been a little bit of a benefit from the system. It's the same system that held him back. But he did fight smart. He's a guy who will fight safe. And whatever it takes to win, if you got to go to a decision, he's not going to get in there and necessarily take a lot of unnecessary risk. That's not Crawford. Even Crawford would tell you that. That's why he defends Shakur Stevenson so much. And he just fought at the perfect time, man. So that's not hate, that's strategy. But don't crucify Boots for doing the same thing early in his career. You know, Crawford fought soft touches for years before he got his big moment. And remember, it doesn't matter whose fault it was. This is just facts we're talking about. Ennis is just now entering that stage. So if you call Ennis untested, all right, cool. Because I fall into that category. You know what I'm saying? I got a whole lot to say about Jaron Ennis out of frustration. But if you're going to call him untested, I guess you better be willing to look at Crawford's path to with the same microscope. You know what I'm saying? But this whole thing about resumes, that's what made me do this video and stir the pot, because I've been very critical of Jaron Ennis. But it's some people I'm seeing in the comments and other social media platforms, they're just taking to the stupid. At least have a balanced argument. They're not. So I'm like, all right, let me put some people in check here. You know what I'm saying? Because Hood Champion's not biased to anyone. Remember, I don't have a favorite fighter. I could care less. I just like talking boxing. And you know I love to stir the pot like I did for that Crawford Canelo series I did with over 200 videos. But speaking of taking time to put together a nice series, you know, what's the reality of these resumes? You know what I'm saying? Look, resumes... Everybody keep talking about resume. Look, resumes don't define fighters. Fights do, all right? I've been saying this in my last few videos about Boots. It's about the fights. Resume ain't gonna get you into no damn Hall of Fame. It's the fighters. It's the fights. How many great fights have you had? Who have you fought? And the reason Crawford's name rings louder is because he won when it mattered most. That's the difference, man. He had his defining moments. Boots hasn't had his yet, but that doesn't mean he can't. But he got to understand what he's dealing with Eddie Hearn, too, because Eddie Hearn doesn't seem to be steering him towards greatness. But I guess we got to wait and see, right, and have some patience. But I'll say when Boots does get his defining moment, I think you'll see the exact same fans who used to criticize him suddenly calling him the next Crawford. It's predictable. But there's a Crawford dilemma in all of this, you know what I'm saying? And that, to me, is a real dilemma. Crawford has done everything right. He's been perfect. But somehow still doesn't get love. Why? Could be a myriad of things. I know what I think it is. But just for this conversation, we're going to not go that direction. I think it's because fans don't like perfection, you know what I mean? They like vulnerability. Crawford doesn't give them that. He's not going to stand there and have a mash-up, crash-up, and turn into rock'em sock'em robots. Like, he's just not going to do that. He's too quiet for most fans. He's too calculated for most fans. And he's way too efficient. So fans create reasons to hate him. He fought Spence too late. He fought Canelo too old. He fought Madrimov, who didn't know what the hell he was doing and couldn't tie his shoes. It's the same hate Boots gets, just recycled at the higher level. if these two ever meet, Crawford versus Jaron Ennis, right? It won't be, just a fight between two generations. It'll be a fight between two narratives. The veteran genius versus the young lion. The calculated legend versus the ambitious risk taker. And you know what? Here's the truth. No blue hat, no blue hat. If Ennis beats Crawford, people will rewrite history overnight. They'll say Crawford was overrated. They'll say Boots was the real deal all along. If Crawford wins, they'll say Boots wasn't ready. No matter what happens, fans will move the goalposts because that's what most fans do. And I'll be honest with you. If Boots and Eddie Hearn really want to get that Crawford fight, they should be trying to figure something out to get Boots in that ring with Canelo. But, wishful thinking, I guess. So, I got to take my ass to bed, but I think I'll wrap up this damn pot stirring video. And I think I'll just leave y'all with this right here. If Terence Crawford's resume is considered legendary, then Jaron Ennis' potential is historic. Because Boots is doing what Crawford did. He's just probably faster, sharper, younger, probably stronger, and in a tougher era with less promotional push. So maybe, just maybe, the hate for Boots isn't really about his resume. Maybe it's fear. Maybe Boots is a little spooky. And the fear could be that he might actually be better than the man they're protecting. Anyway, man, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans all 7 continents. Terence Crawford is the man. He did what he had to do or who they put in front of him. But for those fans out there who are not keeping the argument balanced, I just had to come out here and dress you real quick. Because even Crawford said, he fought who they put in front of him. He tried to get big fights. What can he do? Can't make people fight him. So as far as that resume of Crawford's being a little bit soft, in some people's opinion now, well, you come looking at Jaron Ennis, kind of the same situation. But there's a little bit of difference here is that, Crawford did have the machine behind him. Boots had some kind of promotional struggles early in his career. Still kind of wild for that man to be at 9 going on 10 years to have the resume that he has. But with Eddie Hearn, you figure Eddie Hearn will be doing something, more than what he is. But Eddie Hearn is trying to be calculated and trying to be cerebral with his strategy to get Boots titles, but he wants to do it by having Boots pick low-hanging fruit. But at the end of the day, isn't that what people were saying about Terence Crawford too? Who did he beat to get a title at 135? Who did he beat at 140? You start talking about Victor Postal and Dongo. You hear the name Ricky Burns. And at 147, he beat Jeff Horn. And who's Jeff Horn? And, people they say the same shit about Terence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's see what happened with Jaron Ennis. I still got my opinion on it, but I had to stir the pot. Because some people are just taking it to the stupid. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.